Hey guys, Kev here, and I wanted to talk about the Divo / White Mountain Knives Growler V3. So we have, at this point, we've done the Growler at White Mountain Knives. It's their exclusive design. So it's a Divo design, but White Mountain Knives is the exclusive dealer that sells this model, if that makes sense. We've done the original Growler. We've done the Growler V2. I think we dropped the Growler V2 another time, so I think we have 2 drops of that in different versions. Then we have the mini Growler. That's right here. So as you can see, it is a mini Growler. And currently, the Growler XL, which I don't have a prototype here of, apologies, it's a 4-inch blade. It's a big knife, and those are actually being shipped from Caudabe. So those will be dropping hopefully in November sometime. And then now we have the Growler V3. It's actually in production already, but I wanted to show you guys the 2 versions because I don't think I ever actually did a video on the first prototype. So this is the original prototype. Put that one in the front here. And then this is the final prototype, okay? There are going to be some minor things that have changed for production, but this is the overall design. The front flipper was basically the thing we were trying to figure out with the prototype. And that's why I wanted to get prototypes. I didn't want to just have a front flipper added to the Growler and then hope it worked, you know. So we made sure to prototype it, and I'm glad we did because the first prototype did not come out at all like we thought. And so we adjusted it to this one, and now it works fantastically, and I'm very happy with it. So, excuse me, those are good things, obviously. But yeah, so a quick look at the original prototype. We basically did not change much about the, actually we did. We changed quite a bit about the knife, but the overall design from the Growler V2, I don't have one of those either to show you. Sorry, I should be better about keeping an example of each knife, but people always reach out asking to find things and buy things, and I'd rather you guys experience the knife that you want than me just hang on to it in a case because I'm always like on to the next thing already. That's just how my brain is wired with this stuff for Divo. So I end up selling them or, you know, whatever if I have to like take one apart to give somebody a you know, not a screw. We have tons of screws, but a certain part to fix their knife or, you know, whatever. I'll do it. So anyway, the Growler V2 looks a lot like this right here, except it has a wire clip. So it's like the mini Growler here. This is essentially what the Growler V2 looks like right here. Has the wire clip, right? Now the difference is the V2 has a full set of liners. So if you look in here, you'll see there's a full liner in there. This is a true liner lock. And then on the opposite side, you have a full liner as well. And you have milled out pockets there. Okay. That's how the Growler V2 is, except it has the wire clip where the V3 now has a milled pocket clip. But when we did the mini, we updated the design and we got rid of the full liners. So it reduces the weight quite a bit. So we have full liners on the older one. The new one now has just a tab lock. So this is now a inset tab lock, okay, versus a liner lock. It's still a similar concept, but it's not really a liner anymore. It's just a tab that gets mounted on the inside, and that tab has a lock bar on it. That way you can reduce the amount of weight I think it just feels a lot nicer having that set up. So when we went to the XL, we wanted to implement all of those things, right? We also updated the plunge grind on the Mini from the V2. See, the plunge grind comes back to here now, where before on the V2 it was like up here. So when we did the XL, we wanted to implement all of those changes. And the actual prototypes of the XL, I don't know what happened with Caudabe, but they didn't do what we asked. And we got prototypes with the full liners and everything. Same with this. The V3 prototype has full liners. I think they did update, looks like they did update the plunge grind. But they just forgot the full liners. They even forgot the jimping on these, which is funny. Not a big deal. They're just prototypes, but it did force us to want to get new prototypes. Luckily, we were going to do that anyway because of the front flipper. So let me get to that. This is the front flipper design we had originally on the V3. What I had envisioned was a post that kind of just went straight up. If you've ever seen the original Growler, which again, this is the Mini, but same design, you'll see like right here, there's jimping, and you can actually front flip these if you get enough pressure on that. You can front flip it, okay? So I figured we would just extend this out a little bit, and then you'd be able to front flip it, right? But that's not always how it works, guys, because when you open a knife, you have to clear certain things, right? Like you might have the stop pin to deal with. You might have, in this case, if you just extended that post, you would have part of the blade sticking up right here. You'd have to change the whole handle design. Don't want to do that, right? So what you end up with is this, where it's nicely jimped all the way up and around, like I always talk about, so you can hit it from different angles and it's not a big problem. You can roll it back and you don't like slip off of it or whatever. And when you open it up, it goes flush with the spine of the handle. And that's the reason why this flipper tab looks the way it does. It ended up having to kind of curve out like that. And my immediate reaction out of the box to this was, nope. It just looks funny to me. I don't know if you guys agree, but this looks goofy. The kind of curve to it. I don't know. I don't like it. And then secondly, my issue with it is the distance between these two areas. The spine of the handle and the front of the blade spine here where the flipper tab is. It just seems so far apart that like this seemed a little awkward. I guess maybe I'm just used to it now. But that was always gonna be something that we were gonna have to contend with a front flipper Growler because it's just a tall knife. Like it has a tall handle. And it has a tall blade. So no matter what you do, you're going to have to reach for that front flipper a little more than something like the Binge, where it's a very thin knife this way to begin with. And then you can tuck that flipper tab up on top. And I mean, it's like extremely easy to reach from all angles. You know what I mean? And that's what I obviously love about that design. So for me, like the reach around is really difficult because it kind of like smacks into you. Sometimes you can't even get it all the way, but it does work. It's a functioning flipper tab. And I think, you know, it would have worked, but would have worked, you know, okay. Or it's good enough. That's not in our vocabulary, right? With Divo, we don't want, you know, it works. We want it to be nice. You know what I'm saying? So we went for a second batch of prototypes. Enter this bad boy right here. Okay. This is the version we went with before going to production. There's still some changes. I'll mention what I can here. But now we have the Growler V3, and we have a binge style front flipper. It's what I call it now. Binge style front flipper. We like this front flipper. You will continue to see this front flipper, not always identical, but the concept of it, the kind of pyramid style front flipper, I guess. And now we have less of a gap here. We still have that spacing, but not as much. Like, to me, whether it is or isn't, aesthetically at least, it looks way better to me, right? Like, if I put these side by side, it looks like this one does come out a little bit further. Like, where you're pressing your finger against it or your thumb against it is out here. On this one, it's back here, right? So it's just a little bit different. It feels a little more natural right here, okay? So when I go to hit that, I just feel a little bit more natural coming across it than this, where I feel like I'm kind of going around a bend, right? Like I'm going around a corner there. It's kind of like the difference. This is a weird analogy, but if you've ever driven a truck, it's like the difference between driving a truck that feels like a boat and driving a truck that feels like an SUV. Or, yeah, like my F-150 is a 6-cylinder. It's a twin turbo, 6-cylinder, whatever you guys, you know, doesn't matter. But it drives more like a nice SUV because it doesn't have a extremely heavy, ginormous V8 in it. But if you get a V8 F-150, or let's say a Ram, whatever 1500 Ram, V8 Hemi or whatever, those drive like boats, okay? So when you're turning, it feels like, you know, you're turning the entire planet as you turn, the radius and everything. It just feels bigger, feels like a boat. Where mine feels more like a car, like it's smoother, it's just tighter, turns. And this kind of feels the same way. When I flip this, boom, it just snaps. I'm snapping that front flipper and the blade is flying out. With this one, it feels more like I'm coming around a corner on it and it's just more exaggerated. I don't like that, okay? So I know that was a long-winded explanation, but hopefully some of you guys get the analogy. The reach around. So I can reach it a little bit better. So now I can kind of get my finger out of the way. It's still not going to be as good as like a binge or a lush or whatever, but I can easily get it now without feeling like it's going to jam into my finger and not lock up, okay? With this one, I just always felt like I got to reach all the way out here, and then I just can't get enough snap on my finger and get it out of the way to do it reliably. I have to come up here like all the way to the top and then like kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as safe, doesn't feel as comfortable. Like I'm just more locked in with this one. I would do this hanging over a balcony. You know what I mean? Like I would feel comfortable doing that over a balcony and not feel like I'm just gonna drop the thing. Where with this, I feel like I'd be really worried that I'm gonna drop it. So yeah, that's easier. It also means you have less spacing between your fingers when you're going to do a rollback. Now, if you have small hands, this is gonna be more difficult, okay? Than on a binge. It's just so easy how close it is on a binge. But I can do it easily on this. And I don't even have the clip there. Here, left-handed, I'm just not good at that stuff as much left-handed, but I have a clip now to grab, which is nice, right? With this one left-handed, I don't even, yeah, like I can do it. It just doesn't, none of these things feel real natural, where with this one, they just feel more natural to me. So I know all of that is stupid, but there you go. I also just like this flipper tab better, if I'm being honest. It's just become my favorite style of flipper tab. Now, aesthetically, some people are gonna you know, some people are not going to like this, you know, and I get that. But we wanted to do something different. We've done the Growler a bunch, and we haven't changed the design, and a lot of people have asked for a front flipper on it over the years, and we've kind of held our ground till now, and we finally decided, you know what, we'll give it a shot. So if this goes well, if you guys like this, then what we're going to do is we'll go back through the sizes, and we'll come back with a mini Growler with the front flipper. I guess that would be a mini Growler V2. That might be stupid. Maybe we'll just call it the V3 and skip the V2. I don't know. But we would do this one with the front flipper, and then we would do the XL with the front flipper, which might be insane. So depending on how this goes, those things may or may not happen. But this one's in the sweet spot size-wise, 3.3-inch blade, 7.5 overall-ish. You still have a great reverse flick. The other thing about this front flipper is it gives you so much leverage that you don't have to dial down the detent. So you're still going to get that really nice, that was me. You're still going to get that nice snappy detent, you know. And that's something obviously we really want on our knives. So that's another benefit to this style of front flipper that we like, is the detent can be dialed up still. Where a lot of front flippers, you kind of have to tone down the detent a little bit. This one's still fine because we got all the jimping, and you know, we obviously like stronger detents, so naturally we wanted to keep it that way. But that's a benefit here, so don't worry about that. We've actually had complaints over the years that the Growler detent is too strong. And I would actually agree with that. Some of them were just like way too strong. So if anything, this will probably just make it perfect. That's how this one right here feels. Perfect to me. Nice and snappy, good acoustics, etc. Now, since we were updating the prototype anyway, we took the opportunity to do the plunge grind update. So that plunge grind is now back here, gives you sharpening life. And we added the tab lock. So now the V3 will not have full liners like the V2 or the V3 V1 prototype. So it's lighter weight, feels fantastic. We have a milled pocket clip now, but if you guys have followed along with us, we will include a wire clip. So if you guys are diehard wire clip gang, you'll get the wire clip with the Growler V3, okay? One thing we changed in production is the clip location. So as you can see here, the clip kind of is angled straight down the handle here, pointing at the pivot, but it's not set back that far. And personally, I like when a clip is set back as far as possible, so you get the deepest carry you can, especially with a milled clip, because with a milled clip, you're losing, you know, this much space because of how you mount the clip, right? So you want it set back as far as you can so it sits deeper in your pocket, so you only have this sticking out, right? On this prototype, you have this much sticking out, which is acceptable, it's fine, but again, you know, fine is not in our vocabulary, so we have moved the clip back. But because of the triangular nature of the clip, we changed the angle a little bit. So you see how this handle comes back and then swoops over? So we kind of nestled the clip up here into this. Imagine this right here is the point of a triangle. And it's kind of nestled in there. So the angle has changed a little bit. So now instead of pointing straight down at the pivot like that, it's angled more like this. Like it's just turned a little bit so that it looks good. And it's far enough back. So we changed the clip a little bit. Obviously the jimping's back. one of the kind of features of the Growler has always been, at least since the V2, has always been the full length jimping, or at least up until this point right here. So you can get your fingers wherever you like. Lock bar access. So if you guys remember the original, or sorry, the Growler V2, it has like jimping on the lock bar. So it doesn't have as much access, and it has like jimping on the lock bar. We did away with that. We now have more of a cutout for access, and we have a nice chamfered lock bar, so it's nice and smooth. So if you guys fidget with your Growler, you're not gonna get your thumb beat up like you would on the V2 after a while. So we've updated that. I think that's pretty much it. If you guys notice anything else, let me know. But I think we did just those changes, which is plenty. They are going to come in two versions, or sorry, two blade steels. So there's going to be, I believe, 6 or 4. I can't remember now if it's 4 versions or 6 I think it's 4 versions of the knife, maybe 5. And then they each come in 154 cm and S90V. So you can choose which blade steel you want, and basically you can choose your price point. So we will have builds that, you know, range in price a little bit, and then we'll also have the different blade steels, which will also change the pricing. So it's kind of a nice little menu of choices that you'll have depending on what you want and what you see as important. Some people don't see edge retention as the most important thing. Maybe they just want a fidgety knife, but they like camo carbon, right? So, well, now you can get camo carbon, but you don't have to spend for the S90V. You just get the 154 cm, which is still a great steel, right? Some people will love the edge retention, or they love edge retention and they want a user. So maybe they're going to go after the acid wash version in S90V, right? Something like that. We'll obviously have purple nurples. As mentioned, we'll have the acid washed. We did add 2 milling patterns. So they won't be on the carbon one. So the camo carbon versions will be like this, right? You can throw your mineral oil on there, wax, whatever you want to wet them up a little bit. But they'll be the standard camo carbon finish, no milling on them. But then we're going to have 2 titanium versions of the knife. One of them is going to be the acid wash one I mentioned, and one of them is going to be a reverse tux. Now, the reverse tux version is interesting because it's going to have bead blast titanium. It's going to have a really cool milling pattern. And then it's going to have, on the S90V version, it's going to have a DLC belt satin, and then all DLC hardware clip accents, right? And on the 154 cm version, it's going to have polished DLC and polished DLC accents. And the reason those are different is Caudabe cannot do a DLC polish on S90V. The steel is it's too wear resistant, that it just takes too long, I guess, or it just doesn't look good with a DLC polish. So they don't do it. Ask me how I know. It's because we've tested it, right? So when that happens, we either switch steels or we switch finishes. Well, in this case, we're doing 2 different steels already. So now we basically just have 2 different versions. They're very similar, but one has the polish in 154 cm and one has the DLC belt satin in S90V. I think it's going to be really cool having those side by side, plus the dope milling pattern. Those are going to be nice. I think this knife will also be introducing the Pop Camo Carbon. So we came up with our own color scheme of camo carbon. I came up with it like a year and a half ago. I call it Pop Camo, P-O-P, Pop Camo. And the reason for that is I chose my favorite colors from 80s camo carbon. So if you look at 80s camo carbon, well, I guess it's a combination of colors because the purple's not in here, but I really like how the orange pops. Get it? Pops. I like how the orange pops in 80s. And I really like how the pink pops in 80s. Okay? So you have P for pink, O for orange, and then you have P for purple. So I'm hoping it looks good. We have not actually prototyped it because Camo Carbon wouldn't make us a sample. That's why we wait. That's why it's been over a year, because I was waiting for them to make me a sample, and they just have been so busy with orders, they can't just make one little like piece for somebody. So I finally realized, shout out to the boys at Blade City who gave me the idea. I finally realized I just need to order a sheet of it. I just need to order it, and then I'll know what it looks like. So we have ordered Pop Camo, purple, orange, pink, pop. That's the idea. It might look like shit, guys. I don't know. Now that I'm kind of doing this, I think pink and orange might be sick. Just call it the PO or the OPE. Sorry, I am a nerd. But yeah, so you're going to see Pop Camo, I think, for the first time, either on this knife, the Growler V3, or on the Pony Stout V2, which is also White Mountain Knives exclusive. So White Mountain Knives is going to have the exclusive, at least for the time being, on the Pop Camo. I did tell Andy at Camo Carbon I wanted to keep that color scheme exclusive for Divo. So hopefully we can do that, and we'll have our own color Pop Camo. But if it looks like shit, then, well, we're going to have to kind of start from scratch, and we're probably going to have some knives on the shelves. But I'm hoping it looks sick because I just chose my favorite colors. You would think that would work. We shall see. Yeah, so that's most of the versions. Purple, pop, acid wash, reverse tux, and I think maybe purple with black, I think. And that's probably it. And then we have the different blade steels. So hopefully that makes some sense. And we'll, of course, have kits. We got all different kinds of kits, which should be fun. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. That's the Growler V3. I really just wanted to show you these two and show you the differences because a buddy of mine just, he asked for this, and I don't really have a reason to keep it. So that one's going off, and I wanted to at least show it on camera and talk to you guys about the V3. So I hope you're excited about it. They'll be at White Mountain Knives sometime next year. So stay tuned for that. But get excited for the XL, because the XL is coming. That's more like a giant version of this. So this is a 3-inch blade or 2.75, and the XL has a 4-inch blade. I mean, it's a 9-inch monster of a knife. So you guys who like big knives and you cannot lie, we've finally made you a big knife, and hopefully you like it. We're also going to work on a big boy. I call it the big boy. It'll be a 4-inch version of this. I also want to try a 5-inch version of this just for shits and giggles. Maybe just prototype it just to see how ridiculous it is. So again, if you like big knives, stay tuned. If you like small knives, we got that too. And we also have, just regular knives. So yeah, that's it. I've rambled enough. Thank you guys for checking out the video and letting me ramble about the Growler V3. Those are all my thoughts jammed into a 30-minute video, and I hope it wasn't too confusing. So I love you guys. Shout out to Colin for being a fantastic designer and business partner. It's been an absolute pleasure doing Divo with Colin. And shout out to Justin over at White Mountain Knives for being an amazing dealer. He's had our back since day one with White Mountain Knives, literally day one. So shout out to him as well. We love you guys. You've had our back since day one as well, and cannot thank you enough for that. If you need anything, you guys know where to find us. I love you, and we'll catch you later. Peace.